So there's actually two fonts. The first one is ISWA 2010 XAML. That's XAML, which is um, what is used in programming nowadays for Windows, and it's also can also do vector images as well, just like the SVG does. So when you're working with a Windows program, one of the hard things with SVG is that you can't like work with them natively. What you have to do is create your SVG, pass it off to a renderer, which is a piece of program that draws it on a bitmap, and then gives you the bitmap back again. So it's whereas otherwise, if you just use XAML, you have a rectangle or a circle, and that circle you can move the circle, you can squish the circle, you can scale the circle, you do all kinds of things to it. But you can't do that programmatically with the result of the renderer because it's just a picture.
Right.
So that's one of the main reasons I decided to look into converting the SVG to XAML format, and they're quite similar in a lot of aspects. So it's like mostly a lot of tweaking. And another thing too that the SVG can do as well is the animation and interaction, programming-wise with the pictures, with the pieces of the signs. But with something you can't.
Can you show us something on your screen, or is it just not possible?
I can show you. Yeah, I wasn't ready to show you, so let me see if I can find it first, and then once I have it loaded, I'll show you.
While you're trying to find it, but if you can't, it's okay. So when you say SVG, are you talking about this new font that the alternative ISWA 20 font? Is that an SVG font?
No, it isn't. I started from the SVG font. I used Adam Frost's SVG refinement font as a basis for mine. Yeah. So once I was finished with this first font, the XAML, it doesn't have any more SVG in it. It's purely, this one is purely converted to a different structure.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me look here. Documents and see if I have.
Meanwhile, Steve, I think you found Jonathan's webpage, presentation 14. I never got the video up there, but there is a video up there, which we can look at later. And when we're all done, people can go and look at your webpage. It's signwriting.org/symposium/presentation0014.html. That's your presentation 14 page.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to share my screen here.
Okay.
Okay, and switch over to this application here. Okay. So this is basically a test window for the resulting XAML font. And so if you see here, over here on the left, it's just
unfortunately, we're not seeing your screen. I don't know why.
Okay. Okay, I see. So
sorry.
Let me try again.
Yeah, it's all right. Oh wait, I think.
Have to.
Maybe so. Let me see.
Okay, now you should see it now.
Perfect.
Oh, now we're starting to see it. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. All right. So one thing I can do easily with a vector objects, as we have here the XAML, the font XAML, is I can color different parts of the symbol. So we have and we can make them different sizes. So once we have the symbols, it's just a matter of saying, okay, this symbol I want it 2 times bigger. I want to scale it 2 times in the X and Y axis, and I've got it twice as big.
Yes.
So it's things you can do programmatically on the objects because they're actually shapes in the program, and then so it's a representation that's more easily in tune with programming. Because the other, for example, PNGs aren't, because they're just pictures, right? So when you scale them or whatnot, then they go blurry. So you see this one; these aren't blurry. They're nice and clear, different sizes, different colors. So this is just a small test I've got here. But up here, we can paste FSW from a document up in this part here in the top. And then we can click on display. And it'll take the FSW and then show it with the XAML font.
Wow. So the FSW is, Steve, is that formal sign writing?
Yeah, that's formal sign writing.
Yes. So it converts into this font that you developed, Jonathan?
That's right. So it takes the FSW and then it analyzes the FSW and makes programming objects for each of the symbols, and then it gets the font, puts it together, and then also has a layout engine, small layout engine in this too, so we can get different columns there as well. So this is just the basic part, so we can later on add more usability, more interactivity with this on the computer. So I don't have I can't change columns here or anything like that because that's not implemented in this test program.
No, that's fine.
That's something we can do later on. We could maybe scroll over it, and then the symbol could change color or glow or different stuff like that, or shake or become bigger when you scroll over it or stuff like that. So it's the basis, so we can do all that kind of stuff in the future with a Windows program, and actually have the font and the symbols at a hand's reach, because otherwise it's like send it off to the renderer and then you get an image back and you still have an image. So then you have the way SignWriter Studio works now, it's all PNG. So you move the mouse over a certain part of the image, and then it goes through. Okay, it's like is there a symbol of that image at that spot? Okay, what symbol is it? And then it goes from there, and then it works. But this one, you could just move over top of it, and then it's more, you can use events and whatnot, so it's a much better programming experience. Also, another thing too, in a PNG, if I move my mouse, say right here, in this white spot above the index, above the fist, and in most programs, it would consider that I'm on top of the symbol. It can't tell between this black line and this white space beside it. But in an SVG font or an XAML font, then you can. It's like, now you're not on top of it yet, but when you're actually on top of the black, then you're actually on top of it, because it has an object for each one. So it's interesting, the different paradigm for programming.
Yes. So may I ask a question quickly?
Sure, go ahead.
You're calling it XAMO? Is that XAMO? Is that the name of your font?
No, it's XAML, XAML.
Oh.
And it's a type of XML.
I see. I'm sorry. I'm not a programmer, so.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of programming files nowadays are XAML.
I see.
And a lot of the controls on Windows programs now, they're also vector controls, so they don't have so they can scale on different devices and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So we're applying the same technology that was developed for the controls for the buttons and whatnot in the Windows to the font.
Wow. So Jonathan, what this is only for Windows, or is it for all computers?
This one is only for Windows. Yeah.
I see.
I have the other font. The next one I want to introduce is the what do I call it now? Okay, let me just go back down here to my notes.
We do have an abstract for you on your webpage. I'm going to go over for 1 minute to Steve Scher here. He's got your abstract up on his screen, and I'm looking at it right now because I clicked on it so people could see it. And yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so this other font I did is called SVG Refinement.
Yeah.
SVG Refinement Refactored.
Okay.
And it's for
it's
an SVG font, and it's going to be it's for web browsers, and it's for web browsers. So it's basically the same font Adam created, and then it's been optimized a bit because a lot of, as you know, a lot of symbols or the glyphs have the same root shapes, and some are just a matter of being rotated differently. Some are a little bit different from one to the next, but they have like the same base, same pieces in them.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did, I went through and all of the pieces, all the parts, they were the same.
It's amazing.
So I found which ones had them, and then I said, okay, this one, I just saved it once. Okay, so this one has that piece in it. This one has that piece in it, and it's at such and such a place in the symbol.
Yeah.
And then so it made for a lot smaller SVG files.
So you cut the symbols. Instead of just doing a whole symbol, you actually found pieces of symbols like roots.
That's right.
Wow.
That's right. Yeah. And so we went from 28 megabytes to 13 megabytes.
Ah, saved a lot of memory, huh? A lot of space.
Yep. Yeah. And then there's an interesting part about SVG files. It's called linking. So you can define one shape.
Can you
in a definition? Let me show you the other one. Just one sec here. Go to nope. Okay, let me go see if I can get it here. Slash.
Wow. Sorry.
Writer.
SignWriter layout. Engine. Core.
See, I didn't spell that right.
Oh, Joss, I'm so sorry. Well.
Let me go to my page. I believe I have.
There's something that Steve is looking at right here. What is this, Steve? Can you see our screen?
This right here is the numbers that we have for the compressed font that Jonathan is talking about. It's on the signpuddle.net/ISWA, which is the ISWA 2010 font.
Uh-huh. And so I don't mean to be taking the floor away from Jonathan, but what do we look for, Steve? I'm not quite sure I know what this is.
Well, here we have the, this is the ISWA 2010 SVG refinement. When it's uncompressed, it's 26.4 megabytes.
Okay.
With his refinement, it's about a third of that at 9.3 megabytes.
Wow.
And the refactor tiny, which goes down to about 7 megabytes, which is about a quarter of the size. So.
So I found the screen, Valerie.
Okay.
If you're seeing my screen,
yes, I'm going to
your
screen now. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we're now to your screen. Yes.
Okay. So this is the SVG refinement refactored, and it's also a client-side font, which means that the font, all the symbols or the glyphs are stored on the client's computer, and so we can.
I'm not quite sure what we're looking at. What are we looking at?
Okay.
It says show SignWriting. It says load. Go ahead.
Okay, let me do the show SignWriting right now because mine's already loaded, I believe.
Okay, I see.
Let's see, or not.
It says load ISWA, and then you've got the FSW string. Is that what it is?
That's right. So normally what you do is you load the ISWA. So let's do that. So it's going to download the font from the web server.
Uh-huh.
And it's going to save all the glyphs in the web browser. And then once they're all saved, then we can use the FSW. It'll look up on the web browser without going through the internet. Right on the web browser, get the symbols, and put them together on the screen, all in the web browser.
I see. Wow.
So it takes a few seconds to get a few minutes to get the font loaded.
I see.
The first time.
Uh-huh.
So we should get a message back soon that it's been loaded because it's doing all 32,000.
Oh my goodness, I see.
So it's all there. So and it's also indexing them. So when we actually do want to read them, it's very fast to read them. So it's saving them and indexing them at the same time. So once that's done, then we can put any FSW in this area here, and it will display it for us.
And it displays an actual sign that one can read like me who doesn't know code.
That's correct. Yeah. So it's going to show an SVG.
I get it. We're waiting for the symbols to load, and you can't push the word show sign writing yet because you don't have the symbols loaded. Is that what's happening?
That's right. That's right.
I'm sorry I'm so slow, but maybe it's good for everybody else to have it repeated.
Let me try another web browser here and see if
Fine. This is very interesting. I didn't know that's how it worked. And so you click Load ISWA, and now you're adding the font to the database, so that's the process to go to.
Yeah. Looks like we may be having some bug or something.
It's okay, but it does work, I'm sure. And then you can show any kind of sign writing you'd like. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah. So maybe you could do write an editor with this font. So then you could be offline if you're using your tablet or your iPhone and you don't have connectivity to the internet. You can be writing signs, new signs, because all the symbols are there already.
Uh-huh.
And then you can save it to your phone, and then later when you're connected to internet again, you can send your message off to your friend.
Wow.
So you don't have to be connected while you're actually writing the sign or composing. Because now, like for SignPuddle, you have to be connected to internet so it can get the symbols each time it refreshes the screen, or if you choose a new symbol, you need to be connected. So this is one option to do that. So to work offline. So hopefully that'll be quite useful in the future for everybody.
Offline editors are really wonderful. You're right. Actually, there is an offline version of SignPuddle as well, but it hasn't. I think we need to have several of them there. That's for sure.
Yeah, and it only works on the PCs, I believe.
Oh, is that yours? Works only on PCs? Yeah, I think.
Correct, Steve?
What did you say, Steve?
I'm asking.
Yeah, Steve, right?
Yeah, the personal puddle that can run on Mac, Windows, or Linux. It's basically using a web server. We use Uniform Server for the Windows. We use MAMP for Macintosh, and the Linux you can just whatever generic server. Just have to have a web server with PHP and the GD graphics library.
Yeah, so this here should also work with, so it looks like it worked now. There we are. So now it's showing the signs.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah, so this should also work on smaller devices like tablets, iPhones, iPads.
Uh-huh.
So it doesn't need to have a server at all. So it's all client. Once you get the font done up to your device, then you're okay to put any piece of text there, and it'll show it without being connected to internet.
That's amazing. So if you are loading these symbols, once you load them, do you have to download or install any other software to see them on your phone?
No, you need to get the web page that's going to be showing it on, or the application. So you need to get that to your phone first too. Then once that's there, then it can get all the symbols.
So the actual sign writing has to have a web page or some other vehicle to be shown. That's
right. So SVG is shown very nicely in a web browser, which is a really nice thing about SVG because pretty much all web browsers will show SVG.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really nice. But then when you're, which is really good, but when you're on a Windows platform and you're using native applications, then SVG isn't quite as useful. So that's why I developed the other font, the XAML.
Mm-hmm.
But here, this one here is for web browsers. So hopefully that'll be quite useful in the future as well.
Well, so then why would that just be Windows? Aren't web browsers a little bit more universal? For example, doesn't Chrome, Chrome, you use it on Chrome, for example?
Yeah, this is in Chrome, yep.
Okay.
See what happens when some applications, especially if you're doing like a dictionary or whatnot, when you have a lot of symbols, sometimes it's better to use a desktop application because it might run a bit faster than a web browser. So depending on what you're doing, for some situations it's better to run a desktop application, and sometimes it's better to do everything in the web browser. So
sure.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm really trying to say is that it sounds like to me the font is a little more universal than just Windows, because isn't it going to create a web?
Yes, this SVG font is definitely universal. It'll work in any web browser. Yes.
That's what I thought. So it's not just for Windows. Maybe SignWriter Studio is. That's an actual program,
That's
right?
correct. Yeah. Yeah. So we're actually talking about two different fonts here. One's the ISWA 2010 XAML, which is a Windows font.
Okay.
And then there's the SVG Refinement Refactors, which is this one here, which is a universal font for any web browser.
Wow. And I want you, for 1 minute, I'm going to click over on Steve's share screen. Can you see it? I don't know whether you can see, Jonathan, that I switched over for a minute.
Let me switch over so I can see you. Yep.
Yeah, and do you see what Steve put up? I really like this. So your refactored, what is it called? SVG Refinement Refactored. Is that the name of your font?
That's correct. Yeah, that's my second one.
Isn't that cool? We have this chart. I want to thank both of you for putting this up for us. This is great.
You're quite welcome. So the first line there is Adam's font. This is what 2010 SVG Refinement. So that's the one that he made. And then the next row is the one I made.
Okay. Well, just so you understand it, actually Adam did all the SVG. Well, of course, Adam can tell us about it, but he's, I think, actually interpreting right now. I'm not sure.
He is, yeah. I can see him interpreting at the bottom. Yep.
So I'm going to put words in his own mouth, which isn't very fair. But I do know that Adam spent a whole summer, and he did the actual Inkscape, dot by dot kind of work to get the symbols themselves looking really gorgeous and SVG compatible. And then Adam gave all these SVG symbols to Steve, and then Steve put it together into a font. Isn't that right, Steve?
Yeah, that's how it happened.
That's how it happened. So I think you could say that the SVG Refinement font is both Adam and Steve. That's the way to put it, I think, because without the two of them, it wouldn't have happened.
That's probably a fair way of saying it. But why I was saying was Adam's because Steve, on his page, he put that it was Adam's font. So I was coding Steve on it.
And that was a selfless move. Thank you very much, Steve. And it's true that we certainly couldn't do it without Adam. And the symbols, I was here, I saw it. Adam worked an entire summer without ever even getting up off his chair, on these symbols. There were so many of them. And oh, what a job. So isn't it beautiful what has happened over these years? The teamwork has been really excellent, hasn't it?
It sure has. It's been lovely.
Yeah, and then look at your font now, basing it on that prior work. It's just, I had no idea. It was called the Refactored. I like that name.
Valerie?
Yes, Adam.
It wasn't one summer.
Okay.
It was about 3 years work.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really glad you did that. That you told me that. That's probably true, I suppose. But there was one summer when I remembered it was really, really hard, and the whole thing, and like the next day you had to go back to teaching or something, or go back to school or whatever it was.
Yeah, see there, Valerie?
Yes.
Well, we have highlighted. That's what I was quoting there. It says individual symbol refinement by Adam Frost. So.
Oh wait, I'll go look. I'm going back to Jonathan's screen now, everybody. And now I click on Jonathan's screen. Yeah, where does it say? It says, oh, individual symbol refinement by Adam Frost. File system or data. Yes, it's true, of course. Well, I just wanted you to know that Steve also did some work, because without Steve, we couldn't have put it together. Because I don't think, well, I'll ask Adam again. Adam, did you work on putting the font into a font? I don't think so. I think it was Steve.
Yeah, Adam did everything by hand. 3 summers?
Oh yeah, Adam. Okay, Adam, you put in the 3 colors. Were there 3 colors?
I put in the 2 colors, the color of the symbols themselves and the fills.
Right. And so yeah, but you didn't actually put the font together. Without Steve, you couldn't have put it together, right?
No, I didn't put the font together. I just had all the individual files.
Right.
And I sent them to Steve, and I said, here.
Okay, well, we got that clear, everybody, and we all deserve applause for doing all this work. So now I'm going back to your screen, Jonathan, and keep telling us, because I know about the refactored font now. I didn't know the name. You know, I didn't have the terminology down.
Okay, let's see if I can find the screen where I was. Okay, so oh yeah, so I found the similar pieces, the parts of the symbols, but there's still a lot of symbols that are similar, but I wasn't able to detect that they were the same with the algorithm. So we could even probably compress it more yet, so we have a better, even smaller font. And it's good because if we can compress it nice and small and get it from a web server, then it cuts down a lot on the bandwidth too for people who are using 3G data connections on their devices. So that'll be really nice. Mm-hmm. But of course, that's something that would take more work, and being the funds are limited, it's not something we not be doing that right away. So maybe farther down the road, maybe someone will have be able to do that as well. So that's a place where it can still be improved upon.
Okay. Well, is there anything more that you'd like to tell us? Because we only have around, well, it's around 11:20, so we have around 10 more minutes, Jonathan, at most.
Okay. One disadvantage of not the font itself, because one thing is the font, and the other is the layout engine, and
can we come back?
Viewer, so
can we come back to you and we can have the interpreter now? Would that be okay with you?
That would be okay.
Yeah.
Just, why don't switch over here?
Yeah, you just take away your screen share and just be you. And now we have Adam back interpreting. Okay, here we go.
Oh, okay, that's important.
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, so one of the disadvantages of the viewer that puts it on the screen in the web, this is SVG refinement refactored, is that being to limitation of websites and web browsers, and it's a security issue, they don't let you save the font from one server, and then another server use the saved data on your browser. So each server, you have to get each server that you're doing SignWriting on, you have to get a font from that server. So it's a bit of a limitation. So and there might be some way around it, but I'm not aware of it just right now. But there might be a way around it. Another thing too, another way I was thinking is I came across a font that's used just on the internet. Just generally, it's an open source. It's called Font Awesome. And what it is a bunch of symbols, like icons.
Uh-huh.
And it's a lot similar to the idea of the symbols of the ISWA, except it doesn't have different rotations and whatnot. They're just like different pictures. And they have a cool way of doing it. They have a font, and then they also have 2 types of fonts. And then if either of those 2 fonts can't load for some reason, they also have an SVG version of their graphics. And once you have that loaded into your web page, you just have to say, okay, I want it to be this font awesome, and I want this size, and then you can use normal editing, HTML editing, so CSS, so you can like color it, different colors or whatnot. So I think that may want to look into that someday and see if it would work for the ISWA. The only thing I'm worried about is being we've got like over 32,000 symbols or glyphs. Yeah. That I'm afraid it might, I'm not sure whether or not the browser is going to just download the font and then just pick out the symbols it needs, or if it's going to try to load the whole font into memory. So if it was load the whole font in memory, then we're in trouble, right? Because we don't want to have the whole font in memory because that's too much. So, so let's say it does do it properly and just downloads the whole file, the whole font, but only picks out the ones that actually needs for what's showing. Then it could be a nice alternative as well, because you could host it in just one spot, and a lot of different websites around the world could connect. We'll say, okay, look at the font from that web server, and everybody will get the font from that one web server, and then it won't have the same limitations as I do with the version I have right now. So that'll be maybe something to look into in the future.
Okay. Well, did you know that later today, Steve Slavinsky will be presenting another presentation, 19, related to fonts as well. There's a person from Uruguay named Eduardo Trapani, and he developed a TrueType font that isn't 100% ready to go. It is not. But on the other hand, it's pretty close, and that's why originally we invited Eduardo to tell us about it, but he wasn't able because he's too busy with other projects right now. So he asked Steve to present it. So Steve,
that'd be nice.
Isn't that nice? That's on let's see, presentation 19 today. It's today. It's in Pacific time. It's at 2:30, so it's the second to the last presentation in today's symposium.
Okay, I see here. Constructing a TrueType font in a SignWriting script with Unicode characters using Graphite rendering system.
Yeah, very interesting, huh?
Yeah.
And do you ever use, what do you think about TrueType itself? I guess that's kind of an older font system, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how I would go if I were to try to do it myself. I'm not sure how I would do it, because TrueType, in my ID anyways, seems to always like do like a piece of English text. So they all follow one after another. So I guess with Graphite they must have some way of moving them around in 2 dimensions. So that's something that would be interesting to look into, see what's on that presentation.
Nothing more. You can look at it and see what you think as well. That would be interesting for me to hear your opinion. But I think now I know that your font has got the word refactored after it, and I like that. Now I know it's yours, and I understand that you've done something very unique where we can actually load in FSW and get, once everything's loaded in properly, and we can load in a string, and then we can get those signs written up onto a website. Isn't that right?
That's right. So my future goals is to take the ISWA 2010 XAML and add it into SignWriter Studio, and so we can use it more fully and have renderings that are vector renderings that will scale nicely and won't blur. And also the other one, the SVG refactored refinement for the web browser for writing web applications with SignWriter SignWriting. So,
okay.
Well, in the future.
I think it's wonderful, Jonathan. I want to thank you very much for this presentation. We're actually still looking for the next presenters, and I don't even remember their isn't this funny? When you were coming in to do your presentation, did you see an invitation from me?
I did. You sent me an invitation.
But you knew where to come anyway, right?
I did, but I clicked on the one you sent me. Did you lose your list of invitations?
Yeah, I got to find the present. I'm sorry, I really am.
I can send you it back to you if you want to have it for today.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind it. Thank you. Isn't that silly? They're not here yet. That's why I'm just a little worried. That's all. And you know, it's a very complex presentation. The next one, just you can stay right here while we're talking. It's from Tunisia. Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
And we have 3 presenters, and you know, getting 3 people together is not a small thing. So I'm sure it's going to take them time to come in. But presentation 15 is by Mohammed Ali Balti and Fedi Bari and Wafa Lajili from Tunisia. So I'm trying. You're going to send me something, Jonathan?
I'm going to send you the link for the presentation for today.
Yeah, I see. I see a link that I sent to Stefan, for example. I could take that. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
But,
I just sent you.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So I just sent you the link that Adam had sent me for each of the days, so you'll have.
Right, there it is.
Thank
you so much. I appreciate that so much.
No problem.
And you can just stay if you'd like, because they haven't shown up yet, and I'm concerned, but it's a part of life with presenting live, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yep.
I think what I need to do in the future, I'm getting in the hang of it. I have to be ready to invite people right before, and I have to have all their email addresses, you know what I mean, all set up so that I know what I'm doing, because I'm not even sure of their email addresses. Can you imagine? Silly me. So anyway.
Well, there's so many of them, right? You have to.
Well, we have 42 presenters. Can you believe?
Yeah. Wow.
No, and that's a lot of people. And we actually had to, of course, we offered everybody, including us. We all needed to rehearse, and the rehearsals were so interesting. I really enjoyed the rehearsing period. So listen, this was really perfect today, because even though I'm sure some people didn't like it that we didn't have the ASL interpreter all the time, we are trying our best. And what happened here was we were really able to see the visuals that you created and to hear your voice well, and we can truly add the interpreter back. And so we will end up with a really beautiful video in the future that we can really say, yeah, we can hear it. And we even got feedback while we were watching it, which I think really helps a lot. So I want to thank you, Jonathan, and I think we'll just take a little break right now until we find our friends from Tunisia visiting us in our hangout, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Nice talking to you, Val.
Very nice talking to you. You're wonderful. Thank you so much for... somebody came. Yeah, we got a visitor now, so all is good. So thank you, Jonathan, and please keep up the very wonderful work. Bye.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye.